Please welcome to the stage Edward Screven.
Good morning. Good morning. So I'm here today to talk about HeatWave and new features we've added to it, GenAI. Now, if you're not familiar with HeatWave, HeatWave is a combination of an OLTP database with high-speed in-memory analytics. Now, HeatWave has undergone very rapid innovation. We started actually, our very first release with OLTP and OLAP was in November of 2020. In 2022, we released AutoML, which allows customers to automatically build models for machine learning, including choosing the particular hyperparameters, choosing the particular models. We can do regression, we can do classification, we can do recommendation. In 2023, we added Lakehouse, which lets us query at memory speed data that we pull directly out of Object Store. So you don't have to actually load data into the database. You can query it directly from Object Store. And now this year, just released in July, we have GenAI capabilities built right into exactly the same environment that you can do all of those other things. Now, HeatWave GenAI is just like all the other things we do in HeatWave. It's fully automated, built right into the database. We take advantage of scale-out processing across up to 512 nodes. We include in-database LLMs. Now, you can choose to use LLMs that are outside HeatWave if you like, but many customers choose to use the LLM that we built right into HeatWave, and we execute scaled out across all those nodes. HeatWave also includes chat. We give you a new way to interact with the data that you have available through HeatWave. Of course, you can run SQL queries. Of course, you can do document-style queries, right? But you can also just converse with the data, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. We're seeing very rapid adoption of HeatWave across many industry segments. IT security management, telcos, online learning, online food delivery. We'll see an example of that a little bit later, and also financial services. HDFC is looking at HeatWave as a way to summarize banking documents and their internal knowledge management. Generative AI, it's a complex process, right? There's complicated pipelines of data that you've got to manage, right? You've got to basically, first of all, you've got to corral all those documents. You've got to be able to load them all into some kind of processing. You've got to be able to generate the embeddings based on some model, right? You've then got to be able to do similarity searches or some way to find relevant information given those vectors, right? You then often want to generate textual explanations and other things based on what you find through those vectors. All of that processing is built into HeatWave. That entire pipeline is built into HeatWave, completely managed by HeatWave, run optimally by HeatWave. It's complicated if you do it any other way. If you use non-Oracle services, you're talking about using multiple other services, many other services. You're talking about having to do the data management yourself, managing those big repositories of documents, managing the process of actually creating the embeddings, having to actually keep those embeddings up to date. And when you need to go actually use those vectors that you created, again, many services, complicated APIs, things that are hard to tune. If my application is comprised of many services I had to stitch together myself, it's expensive, both in terms of what I pay for the services, but most importantly, in the time it takes me to build it and run it. This is what you do in HeatWave. You want to create a vector store? Use one single HeatWave statement. This loads the data, loads the documents out of Object Store, creates the vector embeddings. You want to run a query using something called retrieval augmented generation? One single statement in HeatWave. One single statement. That's all you do. So let's talk about a couple of examples. So in one case, one of our customers they're an online learning company in Latin America. And so what they do is they combine the ability to generate vector embeddings, the ability to do similarity search with traditional structured queries. Because it's all running in that one single analytic store, it's possible for them to answer questions like, I'd like a course about this kind of subject that's available on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They could run that as a query directly in HeatWave. They don't need to manage anything about the pipeline of creating the vectors. And they can scale it out to whatever performance level is required. Here's another example. So Socklebox is a big data engineering company. They use HeatWave AI in two ways. One way is they help their customers build chatbots based on the data of those enterprises. So, product descriptions or financial documents. They help their customers build chatbots using HeatWave. They also do problem resolution. So instead of doing like traditional sorts of, I'm using a SEM tool, I'm looking through the logs, I'm trying to scrape through that data, right, and then have some person have to write a report. That's very time consuming. So they actually combine two things in HeatWave, two very powerful capabilities. They use the built-in AutoML capability to do anomaly detection. They use that to generate the context, which they then feed into the GenAI capabilities of HeatWave to come up with a natural language summary of the problem. When you actually want to do vector store creation, it's all contained within that HeatWave cluster. So to customers, it looks like kind of a black box. It just happens. Now internally, it's very complicated, right? I mean, we're scaling out this vector creation across many nodes, across the cloud network, across the object storage that holds all the documents for which we're generating the embeddings, right? At every stage, we parallelize. Every stage is split across multiple nodes, multiple cores, all scheduled optimally. We read the data, we parse it, we split it, we generate the vector storage, and we write it back. Now, because of our background of building in-memory analytics, because of our ability to scale across so many cores, right, we can scale that vector creation across those cores, up to 512 nodes. That's thousands of nodes. For multiple file types. Here we're showing the scalability, right? And you can see that we achieve near linear scalability across multiple nodes. So a vector store of 223 million segments. So when you create vector embedding for a document, I mean, you don't do it just for the whole giant document. You look at chunks of the document, right? So you can get more relevant results when you do a similar research. So a vector store of 223 million segments. That's 6.8 million HTML documents. We can create that vector store in 1.7 hours, 35,000 segments per second, very fast. If that's not fast enough, scale it up to more nodes. HeatWave is 30 times faster and a quarter the cost of knowledge bases for Amazon Bedrock. And it's because of our ability to scale out across all those nodes. It's because of our expertise and the internal machine learning models that we use to optimize everything that we do in HeatWave, that we're able to deliver such fast performance, and that fast performance turns into much better price performance. Now, when you build these vector databases, right? One problem that you have is, okay, what happens as my document set changes over time, right? Because of course it will change. Well, in HeatWave, changes to that data are automatically updated in the vector store. So you don't have to do anything to manage the process of having different versions of my vector store based on different versions of collections of documents in my repository. HeatWave automates vector store creation, and this is a unique feature. If we compare ourselves to Snowflake, Database, BigQuery, they do almost none of this process. They have almost none of this built in. I mean, Snowflake and Databricks, they'll automatically update the vector store. Good. They don't do anything else. Only HeatWave automates the complete process of vector store creation. Now, once you have that vector store, you want to use it, of course, right? What you want to do is you want to do similarity search. So someone comes in and they typed in, say, that course description. Well, I need to now find the vectors associated with segments of documents that are similar to what the person entered. Well, similarity search in HeatWave is exact and very efficient. We use exactly the same kind of techniques that we do on the analytics side, scanning memory across as many nodes as you need to get the performance level you need, to give you exact results. Now, I've said exact a couple times, and the reason why is that many vector databases actually do not give you exact results. They use approximate indexes in order to answer your query. Now, that works okay sometimes, but it's not as good as it could be. It's not as good as giving you exact similarity results. Vector processing, similarity search, scales in HeatWave in exactly the same way as vector creation. So here we're showing results from a third-party benchmark that we had that third party create. I mean, the benchmark is based on a variety of text kind of document sets. I mean, the small one is 1.7 gig from Wikipedia. The large one is a 300 gig multilingual data set. And we asked them to create queries that did things like find the top 10 nearest, using various kinds of distance metrics and other kinds of queries that represent what you do in an application when you're using these vector embeddings. And you can see the scalability. It's nearly linear scalability across nodes. We went up to 64 nodes. We could have gone up to 512. And what that means is 96 times better price performance for similarity search, than Databricks. 39 times better than Snowflake, 48 times better than Google BigQuery. That in-memory, scaled-out processing, tuned automatically by HeatWave, delivers excellent price performance. Okay, now we talked about using vector store and similarity queries in the case of say, that online learning application joined with structured data elements. But sometimes you don't just want to do a retrieval, you want to do a generation. Right? You want to use what's called retrieval augmented generation. So you take the results from that similarity search, and you use that to establish context for generation. All of that is available and built into MySQL HeatWave. Now, in the case of HeatWave, not only is the ability to form that context and interact with an LLM built into HeatWave, the LLM itself is built into HeatWave. You don't need to go to some external third-party LLM, right, in order to generate a result. You can if you want to. We have interfaces to other LLMs that are outside of HeatWave. But for many of our customers, it's much faster and easier to use the LLM that we build right in. So when you use that built-in LLM to do retrieval augmented generation and other kinds of tasks, right? Again, HeatWave to you as a user, it's kind of a black box. It just all happens. Internally, of course, again, it's quite complex. We manage all the resources that are required in order to do that generation, including the LLM. Now here we kind of show a diagram taking the cover off and showing you what's inside, right? And you can see that in addition to the built-in LLM, we also can actually interact with external LLMs that are available as part of the OCI AI services. Now the result of having an LLM built right into HeatWave is that we can apply that same in-memory scalability to the LLMs. Right? So using the LLM scales out across those nodes. So here we're showing again, near linear scalability for generation using the LLM that's built into HeatWave. We don't need to go out to a GPU cluster. We use just the normal CPUs and a SIMD instruction set that runs in our normal HeatWave analytics nodes. Okay, at this point, I'd like to invite onto stage Vijay Sundhar. So first of all, I think you are the co-founder and CEO of SmartD. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about what SmartD does.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me, Ed. What SmartD does is SmartD converges four main areas of IT security management, which is service management, governance, risk and compliance, program management, and financial management in a box for small, medium-sized enterprise. The challenge we are trying to solve is that the SMEs are having a lot of cost pressures, fragmented systems, fragmented data, then stitching information together is taking a lot of time. And on top of it, now AI is adding more complexity with regards to how we are going to interact with data, how we are going to create, manage, and govern knowledge. So this is the problem that we are going after. And top of it, one of the important things is that we have to deliver this value simple, flexible, and cost-effective, because we are going after the SME market. So when we are looking at the solution about 14 months back, especially in fact, one of the advisors came and asked us, you're pretty late in the AI thing, you just need to turn the solution, because we are very focused on that integrated platform. Then 12 months forward, we now launched Smartity.ai on top of HeatWave. And absolutely, and in fact, we worked very closely with the Oracle team, and we were literally able to shave off about 12 months of our roadmap by going this direction.
And what drew you to HeatWave? Why did you first get engaged with us?
Yeah, so the reason, the core product that we are talking about, the IT convergence solution, we early on in the formation of the company, we decided that we want to stick with the relational structure, and we want to build everything on top of the relational, although we tried a few other databases, but we decided to do that. Then we, in fact, went and looked at several solutions from an AI perspective in the marketplace. We looked at Databricks, we looked at Snowflake, but eventually we landed up with HeatWave. I still remember having a conversation with the product team in California and Danville, and they came and they were talking about the HeatWave coming out. It was exact alignment with it, because internally we had a vision of this notion of relational AI. Anything that we wanted to build on top of the relational structure. And this literally fitted that bill. Yeah.
So after you'd made the selection for HeatWave and you began to develop, how long did it take you to go from beginning to develop to production?
Yeah, so once we delivered the Smartity.ai platform, which is on top of the AI infrastructure, software, hardware, which came with HeatWave, the delivery of all of our GenAI solutions, we in fact now delivered 3 GenAI solutions on top of the product, and we have 4 machine learning models for categorization we have delivered. We went, in fact, in a month, we went live. In fact, we did live about a couple of months back. Yeah.
Wow. Going live in a month, that's pretty impressive for anyone using any kind of technology. So, what do you think are the key GenAI capabilities of HeatWave that have made a difference for you?
Yeah. So for us, the integrated stack is huge, because when we did a pilot very early on, about 18 months back, for a large medical insurance company, they gave us data and they said, go ahead and come predict a problem based on the incident data. The process of taking that spreadsheet, doing it in Python, we spent months getting that whole model up and running. This was absolutely, when we moved to HeatWave, everything was absolutely seamless, right? So you don't move out of the database. Everything happens in the database. One of the important things I want to mention this is with regards to skill set. The relational skill set is out there in the marketplace. So when you deal with GenAI, you deal with the relational concept. You don't go out of that world. And there is literally about 5-7 APIs that they provide, from model generation to generating of the GenAI capabilities. It's just absolutely simple.
So how do you think your choice of HeatWave GenAI has helped your customers? Whatever the value that we received from HeatWave, because the time that literally shrunk us from taking HeatWave and creating the Smartity.ai, is the value now. Now the customers don't need to worry about those aspects now, of worrying about embeddings, worrying about the GenAI models. Everything is now abstracted. What we have now done is, out of the box, we deliver the models or the GenAI solution, or they have the ability to build custom solutions on top of the platform that we have come up with. So beyond or outside of generative AI, are you using HeatWave for any other workloads?
Yeah, we are. So what we have done is, with regards to, we do AutoML capability. So we have delivered about 4 models on AutoML now. So we use JavaScript. We are slowly moving away. So we have about 500, 600 APIs written in Java. So we're slowly moving towards JavaScript so that we can be close to the engine, database engine. And then we do have, in fact, we played with the auto-indexing capability of HeatWave as well.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming and talking with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Now, Vijay, he mentioned JavaScript. So if you don't know, we actually have added JavaScript as a programming language built into HeatWave. It's very high performance. It's based on something we call Graal, which is Oracle's dynamic language execution technology. And so customers can now build stored procedures and other things directly into HeatWave using JavaScript. Now, we've talked a lot about the capabilities of GenAI, and I've given you a little bit of overview of HeatWave. But one thing I want to point out is that if you listened to Larry's keynote yesterday and have listened to what Oracle's had to say over the last few years, you know that we really believe in multi-cloud. And we mean a few things by that. One thing is just customers choose more than one public cloud provider, right? Many customers choose OCI, many choose Amazon, many choose Azure, and not exclusively, right? I mean, they choose all of them, right? And so we firmly believe that we need to make our technology, our best technology, available to customers no matter what clouds they choose. And so for Oracle Database, and for HeatWave, and for some other services, we're making them available to customers of those other clouds. The other thing we mean by multi-cloud is that Oracle delivers OCI in many kinds of configurations. Very large public regions, smaller public regions, dedicated regions built right into your own data center, sovereign clouds. At every scale where it makes sense for our customers to use cloud, we deliver OCI. HeatWave is available in all of them. So wherever it is that you need cloud, you can have HeatWave. It runs everywhere. Now that's, I think, especially important to note when we talk about security. Because when you're trying to integrate lots of different services, some of them not necessarily running in OCI, right? You're trying to build these complicated GenAI applications in non-Oracle environments using their services. You create a problem for yourself. Not only is it expensive to pay for all those services, expensive to hire the labor who understand all those services. Vijay mentioned the expertise problem, right? Expensive in order to tune it all. I mean, how are you going to know where the bottlenecks are? So what happens is everyone over-provisions, right? It's hard to secure. When you have a lot of different data pathways, it's hard to get the configurations correct to make sure that you haven't created a security vulnerability. There are way too many admin interfaces, either console or APIs, that you got to worry about. With everything built in, HeatWave makes security easy. The security facilities that we built into HeatWave protects all of your data. Because it's all built in, you don't need to worry about the security implications of using this particular vector database and that particular analytics engine and some third OLTP engine. It's all built in, all secured by Oracle HeatWave. Now, I mentioned chat a little bit earlier. So in addition to SQL interfaces and document style interfaces, we let users interact with their data using natural language based on GenAI. Right? Now, what we do is, of course, it's available. We have kind of developer interfaces where you can just type it into a console. But more interestingly, right, we have APIs that you can use to build those chat interfaces right into your applications. Right? And what we do is we maintain the context of the conversation for you, right? So that your users can have meaningful interaction with the data that's available in HeatWave. Now, at this point, I'd like to invite on stage Nipun Argawal. Now, if you don't know who Nipun is responsible for all of the engineering of MySQL HeatWave. Nipun, please join us.
Thanks, Edward.
Thank you.
What I'm going to show you today is how you can build generative AI applications with HeatWave, and all the components which are required to build a rich generative AI application are present inside HeatWave. So all the processing is done inside HeatWave, the data remains inside HeatWave, so it's secure and it's fully integrated. In this application, this is an e-commerce application running on HeatWave, and all the processing which is required, for instance, the product description, the price and such, this is all being stored inside HeatWave in a transactionally consistent manner. So you see that when a user wants to enter a new product description, it's stored inside HeatWave in a durable manner. When we want to update the information about the reviews, that's all stored inside HeatWave. Sorry, I think. Can you please play this thing against there? Thank you. So all the processing is happening inside. Now we have the transactional processing inside HeatWave. We have support for AutoML. We have support for JavaScript. We have support for vector processing. That is all happening inside HeatWave. So one of the features of this application is the ability for users to be able to write reviews. So what you're going to see is, sorry, there's a problem here. Sorry for the delay. Yeah, so all the processing is happening in a transactionally consistent manner inside HeatWave. One of the features of this application is the ability for users to write a review. When the review is submitted and approved, it goes to the backend to HeatWave, at which point two things happen. The review is stored inside HeatWave for durability. So it's a transaction which gets committed, it's stored inside HeatWave for durability. The second thing is there's a JavaScript program which is running inside HeatWave. This JavaScript program takes the review and sends it to the LLM, which is also running inside HeatWave to do sentiment analysis. So for a given review, we are able to figure out whether the review has a positive sentiment or a negative sentiment, and this sentiment is also persisted inside the database. So all the processing which has happened so far, the transaction processing, the execution of the JavaScript, the LLM execution, that's all happening inside HeatWave in a transactionally consistent manner. Now, the other capability which we have in this application is the ability for users to do a summarization. So there are individual reviews which are being written, and in the first step, we generate the sentiment. But the second aspect is to be able to do a summarization. For that, the JavaScript program fetches all the reviews which have a positive sentiment, which were determined in the previous step, sends it to the LLM to do a summary, and then similarly, it will fetch all the reviews with the negative sentiment and sends it to the LLM for summarization. And this is, again, LLM which is running inside the database. Once this review has been generated, the positive reviews and the negative reviews, this summary is sent to the application. Now, what you can see is that during the generation of the summary, the LLM has picked up the appropriate excerpts from the individual reviews. So for instance, in the review which was just added, there was a reference to sustainable material, and that is also reflected in the summary which is generated by the LLM. Now, an application like this is most likely going to be deployed in multiple regions where people will have a preference for different kinds of languages. So all the aspects of the translation are done inside HeatWave using the LLM. So for instance, the product description that is translated inside HeatWave using the LLM. The summaries which are generated, they are also translated. So the JavaScript program fetches the reviews, sends it to the LLM, it does a summarization, and in addition, it does a translation. And in this specific case, it's translating it to Spanish. Once it has been generated, it sends to the application for rendering. So what I've shown you so far is that all the processing which is required for an application like this is happening inside HeatWave. The data remains inside HeatWave, so it's secure. There is no call out being made to an external application, so it's low cost. Now you're going to wonder, like, how much of an effort or how much of programming did it take to build an application like this? Well, I'm going to show you the complete backend code which was required to generate the sentiment. The only ML piece of code which had to be written is shown in yellow. So just a SQL interface, you call ML generate, and you pass in the prompt which says describe the sentiment. That's all the coding which had to be done. And there is no invocation to any external service. This is invoking an LLM which is running inside HeatWave. So it's extremely simple to use. And the rest of the code which you see is actually the filler code. The AI piece of the code is shown in yellow. For the other two generative AI features I talked about, the summarization and the translation, there again, you can see extremely simple to write, one line of code. And the other interesting aspect is there is no AI expertise which was required, right? Because the user is just saying, hey, do the summarization or do the translation. So you don't need to be an AI or ML expert to develop generative AI applications with HeatWave. So hopefully what I've shown you is you can write, develop rich generative AI applications with HeatWave. The processing is done inside HeatWave. The data remains inside HeatWave, so your applications are secure. It's low cost. You're not making any external call out. And it's very simple to develop without requiring any ML or AI expertise. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nipun. Oh, yeah, got to get the clicker. All right, so if you want to see the code for that application yourself, you can get it right here, oracle.com, HeatWave e-commerce. I encourage you to get it. I encourage you to look at it. And what you're going to see is that Nipun is exactly right. All the code that's related to doing that GenAI work, what looks like very complicated stuff, it is complicated under the covers, not complicated for you. All of that code is very small. In fact, it's a tiny part of all the code of the application. Almost all the code is just really basic blocking and tackling of building a web application on top of a database. The ML part, the GenAI part, is very limited. We make it very easy for you. You don't need to be an expert. Now, we've talked a little bit about AutoML, right? And one thing I just want to point out, and I mean, it appeared in Nipun's demo, maybe it was a little bit hard to catch, right? Is that HeatWave includes both very powerful traditional machine learning techniques like regression, classification, anomaly detection, recommendation. You can combine those capabilities with GenAI to build very powerful applications. Now, I told you a little earlier about Socketbox that one of the ways they use HeatWave, right, is to basically generate reports about anomalies by combining our anomaly detection with generation, right? That makes a huge difference both in terms of time and accuracy, right? So by using AutoML to extract out the most relevant parts of logs and using that as a context, you get much faster performance. 3.6 to do a batch, right? 3.6 minutes versus 6 hours, and you get much more relevant results. Another very interesting use of combining AutoML with GenAI is our customer EatEasy. They use HeatWave to generate recommendations, natural language recommendations to their customers. What they are is they're a food delivery company, right? So they have their food delivery app, and what they do is they use the built-in recommendation engine in HeatWave, which they generate the models for using AutoML. They don't need to tune it. They don't need to set any hyperparameters. HeatWave just does it. They use it to generate recommendations for items a customer might like to buy based on what they bought in the past, and they feed that into the GenAI capabilities of HeatWave to come up with natural language recommendations of what someone might like to order. HeatWave GenAI has broad language cover. I mean, I'm not going to try to read all these, but you can see we have languages from around the globe. We're adding more all the time. Now, I said I was going to talk about GenAI today, but I do want to add one thing, one additional feature that we've added, which I think is very important and actually does connect to GenAI. Last year, we built the ability to query at very high speed from Object Store, right? So that we can pull that data into memory. You can query it extremely quickly. We've now added the capability to write it back to Object Store. And so what that means is that HeatWave has now become a very high performance, very scalable data transformation engine. I mean, and a lot of applications spend a lot of their time just transforming data. Now, if you did this in a traditional way, I mean, you probably use some kind of map-reduce framework, right? Use Hadoop or something, right? That's complicated. I mean, you've got to basically manage that Hadoop cluster. You've got to create complex, configurations of map and reduce. There's no kind of like transactions. There's no kind of ACID guarantees, right? And you're basically You basically need an entirely different set of expertise to do that. With HeatWave, if you know SQL, you can do extremely powerful data transformations, including augmenting the data with the results of AutoML or the results of GenAI. Socobox, one of our customers. I mean, they think that Socobox is basically delivering powerful AI-generated insights into their applications without the overhead of external tools. It simplifies their operations, but also ensures real-time, cost-effective solutions. Tox, they're a restaurant chain. Basically, they love the fact that they can combine all those capabilities of HeatWave into one single platform. They also use HeatWave to generate menu recommendations in whatever language their customer happens to speak. They also use it to detect fraud in loyalty programs. They can use our analytic capabilities and AutoML capabilities to detect fraud in loyalty. HeatWave is now available as an Oracle free tier service. So if you want to try HeatWave, it's never been easier. You can use free tier to do vector store creation, vector processing, similarities. You can use HeatWave, MySQL, JavaScript, all the features that I've just talked about today, right, in that free tier. If you want to know more about HeatWave, you certainly can visit us at oracle.com. HeatWave GenAI. HeatWave GenAI is integrated, it's automated, it's secure. And I think when we think about trying to build complex applications using these exciting new technologies, which they're going to fundamentally change the way that our users use our applications and the way that people build applications, right? But having it all integrated, all automated, all secure means that the cost of building these applications, the cost of securing the applications, the cost of running the applications is much, much lower. Now, we have some additional sessions on HeatWave, including, I think, one by Nipun, basically right after this. So I encourage you to please visit these other sessions if you have more questions. Thank you.